Hello, and welcome to an overview of Battle Champion. Although I've recorded videos on this game before, those were all recorded on a much older version of the game, so I wanted to go over everything again on the release version, since a lot has changed since those older versions. So Battle Champion is a monster raising game for Android and PC, and one of the first things I want to go over is that even though it's styled like a mobile game, it's a completely free game with no monetization of any kind. As someone who used to play mobile games myself, I wanted to create a game that captured what was enjoyable about that experience without the aspects of those games that eventually led me to stop playing them. So to start off, I'm just going to show a quick battle here with one of my monsters. So one of the first things you'll notice is that battles in Battle Champion take place in real time. We don't have sort of a standard turn-based interface here. Instead, when you can attack is governed by the turn bar and the charge bar, which are located underneath your monster's hit points. The blue bar, when that fills up, that allows you to choose an attack, and then the yellow bar begins filling up, which determines when your attack activates. And different attacks take a different amount of time to fill this yellow charge bar. Attacks in Battle Champion also have different types. Like in many similar games, all physical attacks are sort of the same type, whereas here they're divided into three categories, being strike, slash, and piercing attacks, and different monsters have different levels of resistances to those types of attacks. Another mechanic that sort of separates this game from others is that some of the elements that determine which attacks you can use vary more substantially compared to similar games. So if you've been watching my move selection down here, you might notice that some of the time, some of my moves are not available. Like right now, for example, I cannot use Inertial Barrier or Charge. That's because in order to use those moves, you need something called Rolling Status. When I use Roll or Rolling Slash, if you look up here in the top left, you'll see I get this little rolling icon here, which then allows me to use my other moves. So I'm not sure if I'm going to win this battle. I'm not doing a lot of damage right now because I got my strength reduced by a move called Charm, so I'm probably not going to win. It's close. If I had time for one more attack, I would probably win. This could miss. No, we got hit. That was very close. But anyway, so I'll show now that we can also go back and power up this monster to give us a better chance of winning next time. So here we have the monster we were just using, and he also has access to a lot more moves than the ones we had here. So in that battle, it didn't really help us very much to have both Roll and Rolling Slash. In fact, I never used Rolling Slash because it would have been ineffective against that monster. We need one of these two moves in order to gain access to Inertial Barrier and Charge, but perhaps not both of them. So these are all the moves I currently know over here. So we could perhaps switch some of these moves out. Like perhaps we'd rather have a head start rather than roll here. So I'll try using this moveset for now. We can also feed this monster some candies in order to make it stronger. So although it wasn't relevant in that last battle, one of the things I want to do is give it some intelligence, because that allows me to learn some new moves that I don't have access to right now. I'm also going to give it a little bit more speed, which will allow it to fill out the turn bar faster. So now we'll go take this monster into another battle. Now this is against a random opponent, so I don't know who this is going to be. Okay, so here we have something that has medium armor. So the first thing I'm going to do is use this new Head Start move, because this increases my strength and toughness by one stage, although I can only do that once, so I won't have access to that move again in this battle. But it sort of gives me a bit of an advantage here. Now one thing that's unfortunate is that this is a monster with medium armor, which resists my slash attack, so I sort of have to use this move in order to gain access to Charge, which will do pretty good damage. So that was a pretty good hit, especially because it was boosted by the raised strength up there. It's trying to buff its own speed right now. In addition to making the turn bar fill faster, having more speed also makes you more likely to deal a critical hit. This is another one that's looking pretty close, but I'm feeling fairly confident this time. One more hit should win it. Well, it's going to be close, but I think we have it here, unless it's a very unfavorable damage range. Okay, so we won that one. So now we could take Rolly back and feed it a little bit more candy. Let me give him a little bit more intelligence, and I'll just hold off on the rest of it for now. So another thing about feeding these candies is this also determines how your monster evolves. Every monster in Battle Champion can actually evolve into one of two different monsters. You can see here if I had fed more strength and toughness candies, we would turn into this one, whereas more speed and intelligence candies would result in this one. Although he's not ready to evolve yet, it shows the total number of candies that you've fed here, where it's 80 out of 100 right now. And you can only evolve once you get to the maximum amount, so he would need 20 more candies in order to evolve. But we're not going to show that right now. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send Rolly out on an expedition to learn a new move. So if we take a look here, we can see that it could learn new moves at these 3 locations. We can even see what those are by clicking this. And I think I'd like to learn this move called Break. So I'm going to send him out to Silent Forest. Costs a little bit of money, but we made money by winning those battles. So now, when you go on an expedition, it takes a little while to come back. So we're not going to be seeing any more of Rolly in this video, but we can still show some of the other mechanics as well. So what I'm going to show for the remainder of the video is what's called the Weekend Tournament. There are sort of daily battles in this game which give you a chance to earn extra rewards. None of these are missable or anything. Like this tournament here is available every weekend. It has sort of randomly selected monsters, so it will be a little different each time. But you don't really lose out on anything if you skip it for a couple weeks or anything like that. So for this tournament, I had to sort of choose my monsters in advance. I really only have 5 who are ready to go, so I'm just going to pick all of them. But you'll see what this monster selection is relevant to once we get into the next battle. So here we are in the first round of the weekend tournament. And now we can see that the opponent also has 5 monsters available, but there are actually only 3 monsters that will take place in this battle. If you've ever played Pokemon Stadium, this is sort of similar to the way that game worked, where you can sort of bring a few extras, so you could use these to counterpick the opponent's team. And also just to, you know, sort of have a little bit of variety in your team selection. So when we look at this, I can see that the opponent has 2 monsters who have Earth armor, or Earth element, and then an electric monster, an air monster, and a neutral monster. So I think I'm going to lead off with double here, because if I get either of the Earth monsters, that's a very favorable starting matchup. I'm also going to bring Tunja, who has access to a fire move, which would be good against the vampire. And for the last, I think I'll bring Rockstritch. Okay, so we did get an Earth monster. That was lucky. Now, the opponent might try to switch out. So I'm actually going to use double up first just to see what they're going to do. It looks like they are going to attack. In fact, they even tried to use a counter. So because this game is real time, there are also actually certain moves that you could use, which are called reaction moves. And what they do depends on what the... Oh, okay, we just crit him for all of his health, so that was a pretty good win there. But a reaction move will sort of do something if the opponent uses the correct type of move while it is charging. So for that move, Dive, if I had used a ranged attack, like, say, Hurricane, it would have avoided it. But since I sort of scouted with double up, it ended up not working properly, and I was able to kill him on the next turn. So Double's unique mechanic is that when I hit with Murky Water and other similar moves, it builds up this sort of slime status here. And when that gets to 3, it becomes the Sticky status. Sticky does a number of things. It slows you down and it makes you easier to hit, but it also allows Double to use some of its attacks. In particular, it's a move called Reclaim, which I'll use on the next turn if this thing is still alive. Oh, okay, well no I won't, because he used a move to clear the Sticky status. So I might not get a chance to show it off against him. You know, it depends if he lives this next attack. And he did, just barely. So Reclaim is a healing move. I can use this against a monster that is sticky to get some of my health back. Although it will remove the sticky status from them, so it's not always necessarily the best thing to do right away. Cannon Bear on this side has access to different types of ammo that it can load, which affects the properties of some of its moves. So it's starting to look like Double might actually just sweep this battle. We have Hurricane available, which I suppose we could use. This is a very powerful water move, but you're only allowed to use it once per battle. But since this is the last monster, we can see that their other two monsters are knocked out, we might as well just use it here. Okay, so he activated Dark Power. That's sort of his special move. That's a team move, a team-based buff, so all of his teammates would benefit from this if they were still alive. That allows him to drain more health when using health-draining attacks. So something else I didn't mention is that some of these moves, yeah, see that was once, he drained quite a bit of health from me there, is that some of these statuses either have a certain number of charges, which is displayed in the top right, or a certain duration, which is displayed in the bottom right. So you can see that, for example, here, my speed has been decreased by 1 stage, which is why there's a 1 in the top corner, while he has 2 more turns of Dark Power. So this last match looks like it's going to be close, although I can heal here. What's he going to do? Just more Crosswind. I also didn't mention that when the monsters get hit, they also move back to a certain degree. You'll sort of notice that on the next attack, probably. Yeah, you can see like I got pushed back just a little. That means that move was sort of averagely effective. I'm not weak against air attacks as a water type. They just do neutral damage. And similarly, my water type attacks aren't especially effective against Vampire either. When you get hit by a more effective attack, you'll see that you get pushed back quite far. There's exactly 1 attack left. It looks like Double has the sweep here quite convincingly. So that's a pretty good choice of lead, but I'll lead someone else next time. So we won the first round. So now, since this is a tournament, we continue going with the same monsters, although we do get healed in between matches. So let's see what they have this time. They have Camel down, which is actually a chaos element. I'll sort of explain more about that in a moment. We also have electric, fire, fire, and air. This is an interesting one. What do we start with here? I'm actually going to start with Tunja, because Tunja is very versatile. I'm also going to bring Rockstritch, and possibly Double for the 2 fires, although this could be a bit dicey. Okay, so we got the fire type first, which is not great. I think I might just immediately switch. So let's see what the opponent is going to do. Okay, oh, that's going to hurt. That was a slash type attack, which a light armor monster like Double is weak to. So I'm just going to use Hurricane immediately. I don't want to have to fight this monster for any longer than absolutely necessary. Yeah, I'm getting quite worn down here. Okay, we got him out of there. He obviously did not have much intelligence, which determines your defense against magic-type attacks. So now this is an electric type. I really don't want to be in against this, because that's strong against me. So I'm going to bring in... ooh, that's scary too. Rockstritch for this battle. How much damage is that going to do? Well, that's a bit, but I could tank those for a while. Rockstritch is sort of a staller, or at least I've built mine that way. So even though that move is quite effective, I have so much defense that it's going to take a long time to take me out with that. Okay. Bunny Bunny has a lot of unique mechanics. Disguise is a move that raises evasion and also grants access to certain attacks. And he also has this balloon toss move, which he's using, which can have different properties depending on what he fills his balloons with. In this case, the sort of soda fill just does extra damage. So I am actually getting kind of worn down here. I could kill it in 1 more attack, but I don't think it's going to attack this turn. Oh, okay, it did. That could have hurt. But anyway, I'm going to use a move called Breather now, which is sort of Rockstritch's special move. It's a healing move, which you can actually use multiple times, but it lowers your speed when you use it. So you have to be sort of careful of using it too many times. Now, you could switch out to get your speed back, and that's often a strategy to use with this thing. But of course, you sort of lose a turn for switching. So what's the last thing here? It's Twisp. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lower its intelligence with Distract. like I mentioned earlier, you can switch out of this move. Or you can sort of switch out of the status to get your intelligence back, but since he's on his last monster, he now has no access to that anymore. Now, he just panicked me, so I now have no control over my move selection until that goes away. So this situation could end up being somewhat bad. We'll see what moves we get. Okay, we got Rockfall. That's decent damage. So we're going to snap out a panic on this turn. Something else worth noting is after I escape from panic, I now have this resilient status. This is sort of the game's defense against sort of status lock that you might see in other similar games. After you recover from certain statuses, you gain a couple turns of resilience, which makes it much less likely that those attacks will hit. It's not a guarantee. Okay, he was trying to guard against my attack there, but once again I scouted with double up, so it didn't work. And I think that's going to wipe him out. Yeah, it does. Being hit by that attack while you're at -3 intelligence is going to do a lot of damage. So we're making very good progress so far. What do we have now? So we have an earth type, we have a fire type, we have an ice type, we actually an electric type and an air type. So this team is very diverse. Once again, I think that means we probably try to start with Tunja, even though Tunja actually didn't do anything in the previous battle. Who else should we bring? Well, we haven't seen Sparkline or Cashew yet, so we'll just give them a shot. And hopefully it doesn't go terribly badly. Okay, so we got Peregrine up first. This is a pretty scary fight here. Okay. Now, another counter attempt. The AI just hasn't had good luck with those so far. Peregrine has access to some very powerful slash attacks, which I would not like to be tanking as Tunja, who is not only... Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So what he actually used there is a weather status. So there are certain moves that affect the weather in the battlefield. So that was Tornado. So what this does is if I am a non-air type, at the end of each turn I take some damage. And if you are an air type, you also get your charge bar filled up faster. So he's going to outspeed me here. But I think I've gotten rid of him. There's actually one weather status for every element in the game. But only specific monsters have access to them. So now, sort of interestingly, his next monster is actually going to be susceptible to the tornado damage as well. So if you're using weather, it can often be a good idea to have multiple monsters on your team of the same element that can sort of take advantage of it. So far, we're not sort of seeing anything too crazy out of Tunja. We've basically just been using Fire Tunjutsu to do some basic fire damage. Tunja's strength is sort of in its versatility. It can learn moves of many different types, so you can send it out against pretty much anything. It's also very, very fast. So you might have noticed, like, even when... even when I was fighting against Peregrine and he put up Tornado to speed himself up, I was still faster. And that's just my base speed is so high. So here we are up against Snowbot, and his sort of thing is sort of similar to when we saw Ken Bear earlier. He can load different types of ammo and then shoot them with volley shot. But I think I'm looking pretty good on this one. I still took a fair bit of damage. We'll see what the last is. Okay, it's Frost Tiger. I could stay in and fight this, but I'm going to bring in Spark Lion just so we can see how it works. So actually, Frost Tiger and Spark Lion are from the same evolutionary family. So they both have access to this unique status, which is called Energy Field. So, as you have charges of Energy Field, it alters the properties of some of your attacks. So I built it up by using a move called Excitement, which is kind of a unique move in among the family, which gives you a charge of energy field and a strength up charge, but you can only use it if you have no energy field at all. So if I wanted to use it again, I'd have to get rid of my energy field somehow, which we have ways of doing. Like, for example, I can use this move called King's Roar. This will use all of my current energy field to inflict a certain status condition. So we got him here with Panic and Dizzy. We haven't seen Dizzy yet, but it makes it less likely that you'll succeed with status moves. And once again, he was trying a counter, which was foiled by my brilliant strategy. So now I was able to use Excitement again and now have 2 charges of Strength up. So if I wanted to, I could even now King's Roar again, just to try to get the 3rd charge. But right now, I think I'm just going to try to finish him off. And since he's panicked, it's difficult for him to, or panicked and diseased, it's difficult for him to build charges of energy field right now. So we're really just steamrolling through these guys at the moment. We'll see what they have in the final match. Okay, so for the final, I see 2 ice types, an air type, another air type, and an electric type. So this is kind of an interesting one, because electric would be strong against the 2 ice types, but it's actually weak to the 2 air types. So I do think Sparkline is a good choice here, but I just have to have something ready to deal with the air types if they appear. So I think we'll use Tunja for that. And then maybe we'll also bring Cashew on the off chance that we get to see how Cashew works. Okay, so we got the unfavorable matchup right off the bat. So I think I'm just going to switch out. And in fact, I'm actually going to show Cashew here. Once again, we actually have a situation where Cashew and Pistachio here are from the same evolutionary family. Okay, so what happened there? He got it. So basically, their entire gameplay revolves around nuts. They have various moves to gather nuts, and then they could use the nuts in different ones of their attacks. So once I have this nut, I have access to Nut Magic, Munch, and Bury. I'm going to munch this nut. This basically will give you a stat buff based on the type of nut that you eat. And I wanted to eat that one because that gave me an intelligence buff. One of the reasons I brought Cashew in here is because I have access to Stink Bomb, which is a powerful but only once usable move. Okay, he also has Distract, that's annoying. So buffing my status is not too useful here. But anyway, when I used Stink Bomb, it inflicted him with Dizzy and Panic. Dizzy and Poison, which then reduced his chances of being able to gather nuts. I don't think he actually failed to gather any, but it's generally a strong strategy against this family of monsters, because without nuts they can't really do very much. So he's just buffing his speed to astronomical levels right now. I managed to gather a bean, which is nice, because nut magic usually consumes the nut that you have. Except for if you have a bean, you can keep using this sort of neutral type magic attack, which does not have a great level of power, but it is sort of consistent damage. So we're just sort of slowly whittling him down right now. He actually used a move called Bury, where he buried this hazelnut, so sort of, okay, when he switches into this monster, it's then going to get the hazelnut effect and become faster. So we're not exactly doing a lot of damage right now. It's not helpful that my intelligence was lowered, and that's actually going to hurt. I don't know if I want to be tanking too many of those. I might just try to bury this bean that I have for someone else and then switch. Oh, especially, like, we don't want to be tanking flurries. So yeah, we'll just bury this and then bring Sparklion in. The ability to sort of provide a buff to your teammates with the Cashew line here can be quite useful in terms of strengthening your team. Now, I just got shocked, which is unfortunate. That makes your charge bar fill a lot slower. So I'm going to be pretty slow for a while, but at least I've got the regeneration from that bean to keep me healthy while I wait that out. Oh boy, this is going to take forever. But I resist that move, so it's not that much damage. So Cracklin used one of its special moves, which is Giga Charge. It raised a number of its stats by one stage, so it's quite powered up now. Okay, I'm finally out of shock, so I can be fast again for a bit. So now Hyper Dash is also a move which has a unique property. If it is used when you have 3 charges of energy field, it becomes a much more powerful attack. Oh, I got interrupted. Spark Ball has a chance to reset your charge bar. So we're now at +2 strength. So I think Hyper Dash should take him out. Okay. So that's one monster down. Okay, we're going to see the Pistachio again. This time I'm going to use my King's Roar. Hopefully I outspeed. It looks like I'm actually not going to. So I'm hoping to inflict Dizzy again here, and we got it. That's not guaranteed unless you're at 3 charges of energy field. I've just been lucky. He immediately buried his Hazelnut. We'll just go for Claw, I guess. This won't be great damage, but at +3 strength it might still come close to killing. We haven't seen many misses on status due to Dizzy, which is surprising. Oh, I missed. I just missed my attack there. Okay. So we got rid of Pistachio. Who's the last? It's Flurry. This is another opportunity where I'm going to King's Roar. Flurry's unique mechanic, this is another monster in the same line as me, so it wants to build energy field. But Flurry sort of has a unique ability to go into something called Mist Form if it's able to get 3 charges of energy field, which makes it much harder to deal with. So I want to try to take it out quickly. And by using Panic, it shouldn't be able to build up charges too easily. Yeah, it's only one more hit, so I'm just so powered up at this point. I don't know what attack it's going to use here. Oh, just more accumulate. That was very unlucky Panic for it, but... So we have won. We had a fairly easy time through that tournament. But, so, we are the champion. We get our nice reward here. And there's our little trophy. So that'll probably about do it for this sort of overview look at the game. This is a game that has like 200 monsters, and all of them have access to a ton of different moves, and they can be customized in a lot of different ways. So there's a lot of content and sort of strategic depth to this game. Like, there's no way I can cover it all right now, but if you want to know more about the game, I do have other videos on my YouTube channel that go over some other monsters and show some of their mechanics as well. Or you could always just download the game and try it out. So that'll be it for now, but I hope you do try out the game and have a good time with it. So thanks for watching.